Tradex was established now more than 45 years ago by foreign service officers, for foreign service officers. The concept at the time was that most foreign service officers were spending a large percentage of their time overseas, and it was very difficult for them to invest in Canada without living here. So a group of foreign service officers led by Tom Fletcher, who was the head of the Trade Commission Service at the time, set up this, what was then a little mutual fund to allow an opportunity for foreign service officers to invest. Since then, of course, Tradex has evolved into a much different organization and is now open to all public servants, not just foreign service officers. So perhaps, Bob, you would like to tell people why they should be interested in investing in Tradex today.
Well, we still are unique among mutual fund companies in Canada in that we're the only mutual fund company that's 100% owned by its investors. And by that I mean the investors, of course, own the mutual funds themselves, but the investors also own the management company. Therefore, they have a direct stake in the profitability of the management company because all the revenues that we make are reinvested or rebated back to the mutual funds themselves, so it goes directly back to the investors. And we're unique among Canadian mutual fund complexes in that regard in Canada. And we're rather proud of the fact that we are the only true mutual fund in Canada, whereby the investors own both the management company and the mutual funds themselves. We started, after the first year of operation in 1960, we had $118,000 under administration. And we've now got about $206 million. So we've come a long way. But our philosophy hasn't changed at all. It's still very much based on volunteerism. We have a paid staff of 4 people, now 5, we've just increased our staff, and we're paid professional civil service equivalent salaries, but we don't work on any commissions or any fee basis, and we charge our clients who are our members no fees or no commissions for what we do, and we offer the service on an at-cost basis. So we're unique in that way. We're also unique in that we only allow our services to be offered to public sector employees. Our mutual funds are restricted on who can buy them, and that also is unique for Tradex. We have among the lowest fees in Canada for our Tradex Equity Fund, and in mutual fund business, the fees are called management expense ratio. MER is the term known. And most equity mutual funds in Canada charge about 2.5% for all the fees associated, the collective fees associated with the management of the company, the custodianship of the securities, the investment advice. Ours is 121 basis points, or less than half the average. And again, that's another advantage that we've had. I don't want to go on too long, but the other thing I can say is we've been in the Tradex Equity Fund, which is our flagship fund. It's been in business for almost 46 years now. And over that time, that's 46 years, the compounded annual rate of return has been 10.6%, which is just tremendously impressive when you think of compounding money for 45 years at 10.6%. It's tremendous, the growth that it's seen. And of course, that's really benefited our clients who are all public sector employees.
Well, maybe you could say a little bit about the range of products, and particularly the Tradex Plus, because that's a change that I think is not very well known.
We started only with, we started in 1960 with one fund, the Tradex Equity Fund Limited, and then added a bond fund, and then added a global fund. And about 5 years ago, we became a full-fledged mutual fund dealer in Ontario and Quebec. And by that, we now not only sell our own 3 proprietary funds, but we also sell the mutual funds offered by virtually everyone else. And that includes all the major banks and Mackenzie and Trimark and all the major mutual fund companies, the independent companies. And again, unlike virtually anyone else, we will distribute those without charging any fees or commissions to our clientele. And we're able to do that, again, because we're investor-owned. And we're able to do that because we're not working for commissions and paying shareholders, we're paying our own shareholders who are investors by rebating these our excess revenues back to our investors. So we're unique in that sense, and now we're completely full service mutual fund dealers, I say, just in Ontario and Quebec, and we can service those two provinces. In Canada, you need a license in each province, so that's why we're restricted to Ontario and Quebec. And we're regulated both by the Ontario Securities Commission and the Quebec equivalent, the Quebec Securities Commission, and also by the Mutual Fund Dealers Association in Canada. So we're fully regulated and a full-fledged mutual fund dealer.
You know, it was about 20 years ago, I guess, when I decided I really wanted to have some kind of savings plan over and above the government pension plan. I knew the pension plan was good, but I also felt that there were opportunities out there that I was missing when I was overseas in terms of investing some of my other savings that I hope to use later on. So, talking to friends in the Department of Foreign Affairs at that time, and from what I'd heard from others who were already members of Tradex, I decided to take a look at Tradex, and I've been impressed ever since I began, because it is just what you said, Bob, the fact that the shareholders are in effect the owners of the funds, the rates are low, the advice has always been excellent, and I found it a very, very profitable experience.
We've got two types of clientele. It's interesting that you say that, because we've got two types of clientele. We've got kind of the payroll savings plan people, and those are younger, typically younger employees that join the public sector and want to save whatever, $100 a month, $200 a month systematically, and they want to put it in, usually in equities, but we also have bond funds or other funds that we'll put money into. Usually public sector employees who have a very good pension benefits, it's to their advantage if they're thinking long term to go into equities. So we have one group that are regular savers and are building their savings, and then we have another group we call portfolio clients, and they have amassed some wealth, and then they bring in a portfolio to us, and we with them manage the portfolio. And typically they would have a good portion of their portfolio in the Tradex funds, but they may also have other mutual funds offered by TD Bank or Royal Bank or whomever, which we administer for them into one portfolio. And they get a consolidated statement of all of their holdings. We give them advice on both. So we had kind of the two markets that we're trying to please, and it's worked out very, very well for us.